You're listening to Stretch Unscripted,
the podcast where we stretch your mind,
flex your curiosity,
and keep it completely unscripted.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, Intelligent Community Initiative, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, and Catalyst Co-working.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stretched Unscripted. I'm your host, Zora Szabó, and today I am joined by SaNaya White, who is a current University of Tulsa Masters of Athletic Training student. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you on. So I just wanted to start with a little background. So you and I are both from Texas.
Yes.
So I'm curious as to why you ended up coming to the University of Tulsa, because my story is completely different. So I want to hear your side.
Okay. So the reason I came to Tulsa is really because of my college advisor back in high school. He was kind of giving me some schools, some options, and he was like, hey, like, have you heard about the University of Tulsa? I was like, no. Like, first of all, I know I definitely don't want to stay in Texas. I didn't want to go to UT. I was like, I kind of need to get outside of the state. So I was like, that's kind of close enough for, you know, family to still come and everything. And then they had my major as an accelerated program. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, this will be perfect. So then I ended up taking the tour, fell in love with the campus, loved the site. I thought it was so pretty. Got to meet some people, really bonded with those people, and I signed that day. Like, literally my day of the tour, I came and I signed. I was like, yeah, this is where I need to be. Scholarships are great. That's always a plus for me. So with that and my major and then the Pathways program, I thought, yeah, this is exactly where I need to be.
Yeah, especially coming from Texas, like the main schools you go to are either like UT Austin, Baylor, Texas Tech.
All the big ones, I'm like, those are a little too big.
Yeah, so like the smaller class sizes, again, another thing for me was like, again, it's not too far away for family, but it's like a decent enough distance where I can get away, have my personal time if I needed it. So you came to TU. From there, again, you found your major. You also found an accelerated track. So you're in that accelerated track right now, and you've been doing like clinical experiences with that. So how has that been going for you?
So far, so good. I've definitely been enjoying it. Learning that I need to really take my time. With it being such an accelerated program, it's kind of hard not to fall into the fact that it's so accelerated, really just kind of stepping into that personal moment of really like recognizing, hey, like I might need to take a step away for a little bit. Like I need to mentally kind of refocus myself, recenter myself, because it's just so fast. Everything kind of just flows in a way. But it's been going good, really just focusing on that and remembering to kind of give myself some patience, because that's been the hardest part about it, not falling into the pattern of go, stop and breathe for a bit.
I feel like a lot of like individuals that come straight into college after high school, they always have that struggle because it's a completely different pace, especially from, again, depending on what kind of high school you go to. I went to more of like a math science thing, so I was kind of okay with like a faster pace. Okay. But I know depending on, again, where you come from, what program you go through, and like your learning habits, definitely intimidating.
All right, yes.
So, again, you came to TU, you were doing all that with athletic training, and I know you joined some organizations through your undergrad, like Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Yes.
So, how has that shaped who you are today?
Joining Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated has really been everything for me. I love my sisters. I love being a part of something bigger than myself, really focusing on the service aspect, the advocacy, just making sure that I'm kind of pouring back into my community. That has been the biggest thing for me. And I knew I always wanted to become a Delta. I was like, I had a mentor she was a Delta, so I was part of the GYMS program, which is kind of like their youth program where you're led by a whole bunch of Deltas there. So I joined them. I was doing service projects with them, kind of getting the insight on like, okay, these are the women that are, you know, leading in this organization. Like maybe this is where I want to go. So really just following her footsteps for my mentor and kind of seeing everything she did, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So finally in college, every year I was there, I was like, okay, I'm going to apply. And then finally my junior year I did, and I love it. I don't regret anything. It's really shaped me in terms of knowing how I want to be perceived, how I want to lead others, how I want to be an example for those younger than me, and, you know, just really being a big example and leading alongside my sisters.
Yeah, I know, especially with like my experience in just like Greek life as well, and like the Panhellenic community, you get to gain like so many experiences through like networking, community engagement, service, as well as like potentially even like scholarship opportunities, as well as like, I don't know, assistance with like helping you like gain those academic kind of achievements from just, I don't know, mentoring opportunities, again, study groups, building the connections with your sisters, of course, is like a big thing. Yes. So I know probably helped you, especially you were saying how it was kind of like an interesting change from going from high school into college. So I'm assuming that probably helped with kind of getting used to more of like the undergrad program before transitioning into the master's.
Definitely.
So you've already touched on going into the Master's of Athletic Training program, but why athletic training? Because I know not a lot of people just like one day wake up and they're like, athletic training is what I want to go into.
Right.
So what kind of like motivated you to choose that?
Okay, so this is a weird story. So originally I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was like, yes, I'm going to Texas A&M and I'm going to become a veterinarian. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I don't want to hear no ifs, ands, buts about it. Like, I know. I had already bought the merch. I had a little Texas A&M watch. I had a hoodie because I had family who worked there too.
Okay,
so I was like,
sense.
okay, this is going to be great. Then I want to say I believe it was like my sophomore year of high school. We recently had a new athletic trainer come in, and she started the sports medicine class there. And so I was like, well, I've never heard of this. We've never had this before. So I tried to apply and get into that class. I wasn't able to her first year there. So then the second year I was able to, and I got in, kind of let her show me the ropes and everything. And I was like, whoa, like this is a completely different world. Like I didn't know what this was. And I've always been involved in sports, always been active. And so kind of seeing the flip side of this, like, oh, she's working with me one-on-one, when I'm getting hurt, like she's there. So it was good having that relationship with her. And then we didn't have a football team because I went to an all-girls school. So I would travel with her to other schools and go work go work those games and everything. And so I remember my very first injury I had, he actually hurt his hand. He hurt his finger. And so she was like, SaNaya, you want to take over? I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So she really just like gave me that freedom and was like, here, like I'm going to guide you through this. And that was the moment for me. That was my big like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I switched. I quit. Like veterinarian ain't gonna be for me. I was like, athletic training, this is where I want to be. So I kind of followed her, really let her lead, and she became my mentor. And even now we keep in touch and talk every now and then. And so yeah, she's my reason behind it. And so Doc White, I call her kinfolk. Yeah, so that's my girl.
That's amazing. So again, you've been doing your clinicals. You had worked with Union High School, and now you're working with University of Tulsa's softball team.
Yes.
So again, working with the team and kind of seeing the behind the scenes, working individually with the athletes as well as like the other athletic trainers, what is the most unexpected thing that you've come across while working with both either Union High School or the softball team at TU?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the most unexpected thing has really been learning that it's so much more than the physical aspect. Really understanding that the mental plays a big part of that whole holistic rehabilitation. When showing care for athletes, it's easy to kind of put that to the side and say, like we're just focusing on getting you better. We want to get you right back into it. But you really have to consider like maybe mentally they're not ready. Maybe mentally they're still focusing on, I'm concerned about my injury coming back, or, like that mental block. And kind of working with those teams, especially at Union, was a big one for me, like learning for those high schoolers that they have so many different pressures, especially from family, those who are involved in sports because they want to impress their dad or impress their mom or, just because that's what they're so used to. And so when really having those additional pressures on time of academics, you have to understand that their mental health is definitely a priority. You have to make sure you're building their mental as well as their physical in order to get them back into where they need to be or even better than where they started. So I think that's been the biggest surprise for me, learning from both clinical settings so far.
And I feel like that's a big thing to talk about because especially going and talking about more of like professional sports aspects, a lot of people don't realize, again, like the mental pressures, especially from like their private life and how that can even influence injury recovery times or even like their performance on the field or even all these other factors that aren't taken into account. So again, it's like a huge thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration.
Exactly.
So in your training, have you witnessed a patient interaction that's kind of changed how you see healthcare or even just like the athletic training field?
Ooh. For that question, I would say my own. I would literally say, in terms of me being the patient and my athletic trainer from high school, I think that interaction there really shaped how I kind of move forward today. Just seeing her not only be there as someone willing to rehab me, but kind of like being a friend. I think that was the biggest kind of mental change for me, like thinking, oh, this is so much more than just somebody who's trying to get you better. This is somebody who wants you to be better. That was the biggest difference for me, and just kind of really just seeing that people care. Like, I think that's the hardest thing sometimes. You know, some people are just there to do their job. But when you have somebody who actually shows that they care, shows that they respect you, that's when you want to be there. You want to come back. You want to actually understand why it is that you're kind of getting back to where you need to be. So having that one-on-one with her and kind of just seeing how she moved, that has been the biggest shape for me in terms of how I want to move and want to be an athletic trainer in the future.
And I've heard a lot of like individuals going into athletic training or even like the sports medicine realm, that a lot of their motivation and inspirations going into that field have been their own previous experience being an athlete, which is just amazing because, again, not only are you going to be like giving that care towards your future patients because you've seen how it's impacted you in the past, and you want to make sure that someone who might not have had a positive impact in the past now has a better one because, again, you can see it if you've experienced it.
All about that personal experience.
Oh, yeah. So one last question about the Master of Athletic Training before I move into more interesting topics about your fellowships. If you could change one thing about how healthcare students are trained, what would it be?
Ooh. Okay. I would say, and this is just from personal experience, but I definitely think more emphasis on emergency response.
Okay.
I think that's been kind of the hardest thing for me to grasp. And I've been talking to other athletic trainers in the field and kind of getting their insight on it and just saying, like, one of them, she was telling me her experience on how, like, immediately she was just able to go into it. Like, she was on the field, you know, it was an emergency happening, and her body just kind of took over. Like, it wasn't necessarily just trying to memorize everything, you know, we've learned. But for me, my memory is already bad enough as it is. So I always get worried about those kind of things. Like, am I doing the right steps? Am I remembering everything that I was taught in order to care for this person in the best way? So we kind of, I don't know, emergency response is just so big for me, like being ready to care for somebody who's on the field, you know, maybe seizure, stroke, like whatever it may be, heat illness, just those things. I wish we had a little more practice with those, really being able to emphasize, maybe even like turning into a little game, like you're on the field doing some different scenarios, going through those. So I think that would have been something I would have maybe changed, just emphasizing that more.
Especially with like football, it can be the difference between seconds and minutes and like how, depending on what the injury was, like how that impacts them either recovery or even in the future. So I definitely do agree with the emergency response because sometimes it's not like the priority. It's more of just like the quick turnover, just get the athlete back on the field.
Exactly.
So I like the whole athletic training thing, but now I want to talk more about your Thunder Fellow experience. Okay. So for those that don't know what Thunder Fellows are, can you give us a little insight or like background as to what it is?
Of course. Okay, so Thunder Fellows is an organization focused on, or within the Greenwood area, Tulsa area, sponsored by OKC Thunder. And so with that, they're really prioritizing making sure you're having personal development as well as professional development, gaining network experience, and really focusing on the Black community. So kind of building up those individuals who may not have all the resources that they need, and kind of giving them that step up and saying, okay, well, we want to make sure that you're ready for whatever field that you choose to go in. We want to make sure that you have the networks that you need, the people to talk to, the inspiration, just kind of that extra push in people who may not have that all the time.
So how did you hear about the opportunity? Because I've seen it pop up just because I've had other friends that have gone through the program, but it's not really like widely publicized. Right. So how did you come across it?
Literally my first year of, I guess technically I wasn't a master's student yet, but I guess my last year of undergrad, I guess you could say, we had, when we were starting our original cohort, one of the girls there, she actually came in and they were like, yeah, I'm part of the Thunder Fellows program. I was like, Thunder Fellows, what is that? And so she was telling me, she was like, all the things that she's done and that how I should think about it and consider applying for it. I was like, okay. So I ended up like doing my research, looking into it. And on top of that, one of the directors, Cedric, he actually came and he was a guest speaker for one of my previous classes that I had. And so I kind of reconnected with that teacher, and I was like, hey, like, do you know a little bit more about this? And she was like, yeah, of course, like, this is something that you should apply for. So it was kind of a full 360 moment. I was like, oh, this is so interesting. So yeah, I ended up just going ahead and applying for it after I did a little more research, talked to some more people, really kind of understood what it was and the meaning behind it, and that's how I got into it.
So what is some of like the work or like the experience you've gotten through being a fellow?
It's been a lot. We do a lot of classes, a lot of different educational moments, having a lot of guest speakers come in, but really just understanding the importance of pouring into yourself. A lot about networking. That has been the biggest thing for us, making sure that you know anytime you meet somebody, like, you need to have their LinkedIn. You need to find some way to connect with them. That's been something they're engraving into us.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Yes, my LinkedIn profile did not exist before Thunderfellows. I'll say that. I had, like, my name, my picture up there, but it wasn't active. Like, I wasn't into it. And getting into Thunderfellows, like, that's something that they really emphasize, making sure you're staying up to date, you're staying consistent with everything you're posting so people know. I will also say things such as they're giving us such things about data analytics, making sure we're staying up to date about data, money, financial stuff, making sure we know about loans, and, you know, just different things that are really important in today's society and that may not be taught for, you know, students. It's so many different things, leadership stuff, communication aspects, all the different social skills, but as well as the soft skills. Like, those are really big keys that they kind of give us.
So basically just giving all the resources and pouring into y'all to make sure that you are aware of basically everything.
Right.
So you're not caught off guard by, oh, no, I don't know about, like, this financial opportunity, and now I know, which is amazing. I feel like a lot of people need to know more about it. And especially in schools, like, they don't really teach you much about it. They just tell you, and they're like, oh, here it is.
Yeah, like, where do I find the resources?
Exactly.
Where do I go?
They just don't guide you into it. So you were talking about, again, your entire experience with being a Thunder Fellow. Do you have, like, a super, like, memorable experience out of your entire time so far?
Ooh. That's a hard one because there's so many of them. I think most memorable experience so far, I'll actually say, okay, so we did a trip to, we went to the BOK Center here after we went to the Tulsa Race Massacre, the museum they have over on Black Wall Street. And so those were kind of our two experiences set in a one day. So, of course, the museum itself was amazing, just seeing the history, learning the importance behind everything that happened. That was beautiful in itself and such a memorable moment in its own. But then once we went to the BOK Center, we were able to meet some of the guest speakers there. They kind of gave us a tour and kind of showed us the inside scenes. And it really stuck with me because he was actually an athletic trainer, or he used to be he was studying athletic training. He didn't end up going into athletic training after, but he went to the University of Tulsa. He was one of the first people that was a part of the program, like the original program.
Full 360
I know, and I was like, sir, we need to talk after this. But yeah, he kind of gave us that insight and just saying, like, making sure you're sticking to what you're passionate about. And when he told me that, he was like, it's okay, you know, if you end up changing careers. Me knowing myself, I know that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to stick with. And I had that conversation with him, and he was like, and that's fine. Like, whatever you choose to do is fine. But making sure that you're passionate about it, that you're having fun with it, that it's something that you want to continue to do on a day-to-day basis. And I thought that was so interesting to me because sometimes I do get in my head, I'm like, well, what if I'm choosing the wrong career? Like, what if I'm choosing the wrong major? You know, whatever it may be. But when you have somebody sit there and kind of tell you and show you that they've made success for themselves, and no matter what decision they chose, as long as you're staying passionate and true to yourself, like, that was something that was really big for me and something I keep to this day. Yeah,
especially, like, you have a lot of, like, different challenges that you face, or even just, like, internal struggles, and, like, you have to figure out how to overcome it. But again, if you know, like, your true north, or, like, what direction you want to go in, or at least an idea of what profession or even just interests you have, is always going to, like, hopefully guide you the right way.
Right. Yes, hopefully.
So again, Thunder Fellows, like the organization, it emphasizes community and connection. So how has your cohort impacted you?
Oh my gosh, I love my cohort. I love them so much. They are so fun to be around. We literally bonded, like, our first day meeting each other. We connected instantly. We have some jokesters in there. We have some people who are serious, you know, like, everything. But we all bond and come together so greatly. Like, we really feed off of each other's energy. Us all being in college, you know, but from different areas of Oklahoma, which I thought was so cool. We have people everywhere from all the different schools, and really just kind of getting their insight on, hey, like, this is what I'm going through. We had like a a moment to where we kind of stepped away from the program itself and really just focused on us as individuals. So we kind of all sat in a circle and talked about, life in general, like what's been going good, what's been a struggle. And it was really kind of a breakdown moment for some people because we don't get to do that very often. We don't get to kind of be vulnerable in some situations. So being able to do that with our cohort, it was kind of a different experience to really see, like, as college students, this is what we're really going through. This is how we can support each other. That was one of the big questions they asked was, okay, now that you've told us what you're going through, how can we help you? What can we do to kind of make this experience better? This cohort has really helped me see that it's not just me, that I'm not alone, that I can reach on them and depend on them anytime I need. But also, we're here to have fun. Like, it's not always just serious. It's not always work. Yeah. We're here to bond. We're here to grow. And we want to see each other build. And that I can always call on them in the future. Like, that might be the future president. Hey, Prez, you remember me from back at Thunder Fellows? Like, yeah, we need to bond again. So this is definitely lifelong bonding. And I think that's been the biggest takeaway from this cohort.
Which I feel like a lot of people need to realize, like, again, anybody that you come in contact with can be such an impactful person, either like connection or like networking reasons wise. So do you have any like last minute like motivational or inspirational like quotes or just like things that have inspired you throughout your journey that you would love to share with either the high schoolers that are watching or either anyone in the entire Tulsa community or outside the community that you would love to kind of like share a little insight with?
A quote that sticks with me actually comes from our grandmother, and she says, "Nothing is impossible, but rather a challenge that you can and will overcome." And that's always kind of helped me and guided me because, yes, it may get hard. It may seem difficult at that time, but as long as you keep pushing, keep persevering, keep challenging yourself, you're going to eventually come through it. We have so much life to kind of carry out. It's hard to not get stuck in one moment. Like, this is just one time in your life out of, many years to come. But really just living, kind of enjoying life, making sure you're sticking with it. And no matter what people say, no matter what barriers, you may have, remember that you can do it, you can push through it, and you will overcome them no matter what it may be. Make sure you're reaching out to others, you're using your resources, you're finding people within your community and really building your community to kind of really just rely on that and making sure you're continuing your growth, continuing pouring into yourself, because that's always going to be the biggest thing. No matter how hard it may be, really focusing on you as a person and making sure you're getting where you need to be.
No, I love that. And I completely agree. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you for your time and for coming on and joining us today. It was an amazing conversation.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Hopefully can continue this later.
Definitely.
But as of now, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And make sure to follow at 918 Stretched and Stretched Unscripted on Spotify to tune in to our next episode. But for now, bye guys.
Don't forget to give us a like and follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more episodes of our podcast.